In tutorial 5-2, you're going to modify the ending balance application that you created in tutorial 5.1. Now, you'll recall that that application allows you to enter the starting balance for a savings account and the number of months that the account will earn interest, and then it displays the ending balance at the end of that time period. In this tutorial, you're going to enhance the application so that it has a list box. You can see what the form is going to look like from this figure, which is in your textbook. And we're going to modify the application so that when it calculates the ending balance for each month, remember there's a loop in that application, and every time the loop iterates, it calculates the ending balance for a month. Well, we're going to display the balances for each month in the list box. You can see in the example here from the textbook, we get the ending balance for month 1 and then the ending balance for month 2 and so forth. So this is what you're going to do in tutorial 5-2. So let's go ahead and switch over to Visual Studio. I've still got the ending balance application from the previous tutorial loaded into Visual Studio. So let's switch over and start making these modifications. First, you'll need to enlarge the form and move some of these existing controls so that we can make room for the list box. So I'm just going to grab the bottom edge of the form and I'll enlarge it something like that. It doesn't have to be exactly like the one shown in the textbook, but just something approximately like that. Next, I will select these controls. And I'm just going to use the down arrow key on the keyboard to move them to the bottom of the form. Something like that. So now we have some space here on the form for the list box. The list box control is under the Common Controls group in the toolbox. I'll just double click that. And that creates a list box named List Box 1. I'll position it there. And I will widen the list box, something like that. And the tutorial tells us to change the name of the list box to Detail List Box. So I'll just go over to the Properties window and change the name to Detail List Box. Okay, so now at this point, I think we're ready to start writing the code that actually displays the monthly balances here in the detail list box. So that should put us at step 4 in the tutorial. So I'm just going to open the code editor and I'll scroll down to the calculate button, click event handler, and I'll find the while loop that calculates the monthly balance. So here it is, and the new code that we're going to add will appear at this point in the program. So I'll just open up some extra space here, and I'll start typing the new code exactly as it's shown in the tutorial. So here we have the code that's shown in the tutorial. Let's just take a moment to make sure we understand what it's doing. Details list box dot items dot add. That's the method that we call to add a new item to the list box. Recall that a list box has an items collection, and that is the collection of items that appears in the list box. So to add a new item, you simply call the items.add method for that list box. And what we're adding is a string that says the ending balance for month, and then we get the count variable. Now the count variable holds the number of the month that we are currently calculating the balance for. So if it's the first time through the loop, count will be set to 1, and this string would read the ending balance for month 1 is, and so forth. So that's how we get the number of the month. And then we get the balance here with the balance variable, and notice that we're calling its toString method with the currency format specified because we want the balance displayed formatted as currency. So this is the code that displays those messages in the list box. Now the next thing that we're going to do is update the clear button, because now that we have a list box on our form, when the user presses the clear button, we want to also clear the list box. So we'll start out by changing the comment, clear the text boxes, the ending balance control, and the list box. And then we will add a new statement here, the statement that clears the list box, detail list box dot items dot clear. Okay, so that should do it. At this point we've entered all the new code that we need, so let's save the project. And let's go ahead and run the project, and we'll enter some test values. The tutorial tells us to enter 1008 and click the calculate button, and then here we have our messages, and you can see it displays the ending balance for month 1, and those messages go all the way up to month 8. And if we click the clear button, it clears the text boxes, the list box, and this label control.